What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, and today we're doing something fun. Usually every year around September or October, I take a whole bunch of questions to celebrate the birthday of the channel, but I kind of forgot this year, so I guess that makes me a bad channel dad. But anyway, better late than never, and I asked you guys a little while back to submit a whole bunch of questions, and we're gonna go through as many of them as I can today in like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, so let's have some fun. Before we get into your regularly scheduled entertainment today, I wanted to let you guys know that today is the last day to grab yourself a Cardo using Cardo's Black Friday sale, where they're giving you 25% off. Click that link down in the description below and use the code SPITE10. And you really ought to click that link because it'd be a shame if I had to stamp Sedici across your bicuspids. So the first question comes from the Discord from Patzilla. What is the best thing you've learned this past year? It's two things. So first thing, actually I learned this last weekend. And it's something I kind of intrinsically knew, but I kind of had it forced into me when I was at a track day. So this last weekend I was riding with Ride Smart, and I had been doing a whole bunch of sessions. Like I'd gotten 10 sessions in at Coda over 2 days. And on one of the last sessions, one of the instructors, Dylan Wall, who's actually a Moto America rider, he's number 519, he rides a Pan America, and he's got a Sportster that he built. We're getting ready to go out on the racetrack, and he tosses me a jersey, and he's like, we've got some stuff to work on. Because he was following me around one of the previous sessions, and he just wasn't digging the way I was riding. So he tosses me the jersey, I put it on, and I follow him, and he tells me, I'm gonna over-exaggerate my body position, you copy it as best you can. And what he was doing was he was making a show of picking his butt up and moving it over to the seat for every turn. So if you turn left, pick butt up, move it over, set it down, then lean off the bike. Same deal going right. And I started doing that, and almost immediately I could feel the bike steer so much better, especially on the chicanes at Coda where we were at. It was unreal how much better it felt. Turn 19, I'd been hitting the brakes all day going into turn 19. But once I started doing that, I was just carrying neutral throttle, no brakes going into that corner. And then the second one was off-road, and that was with the guys from Traction E-Rag when I went to Canada in May. So one of the things that I was always struggling with off-road was going downhill. Now, I'm afraid of heights, so when I'm staring down a hill and I'm getting ready to go, I kind of get like vertigo and the spins, and so I just kind of bulldog bikes down the hill. And that's not what you want to do. And they showed me that by pushing my weight back and kind of using my hands to press into the handlebars a little bit and just carrying a little bit of brake, you can just roll down these hills so much easier. It was like the second I started doing that, skill unlocked. It was transformative to my riding off-road. And speaking of which, we've got another question from Summit Coyote. You've been traveling a decent amount this year. What are some upcoming destinations you're excited about or thinking about traveling to? So this last year, I traveled a ton. I was up in Canada. I was out in California. I was doing the Honda thing in Georgia. I was all over this last summer. And admittedly, I think I did too much, because you may have noticed during the summer there was a little bit of a lull in content. I've sort of streamlined that a little bit, but I'm also gonna be doing less travel this year. But the thing I'm most excited about, that I already know it's totally booked, I'm gonna be there, and I'm so pumped for it. I'm going back to Canada with the Traction E-Rag team to do their XT ADV training. And this one's cool because you guys can actually come and hang out with me and learn to ride with me. I'm gonna be riding for a whole week in June, the first week of June. And there's seats available right now. You can actually go join me and learn from some of the craziest Canadian off-road riders you're gonna find. These guys are gonna whoop your ass. They're gonna laugh at you while they're doing it, but you are gonna learn so much. When I came back from my Canada trip, I felt so much stronger as an off-road rider. I felt so much more confident to the point where I got back on my KTM and I was like, oh, holy shit, I know how to ride this bike now. It was incredible. So if you want to learn like that, click that link down in the description below and come hang out with me for a week. We're gonna be doing some kick-ass riding, eating some great food, and just shooting shit for a week. It's gonna be a ton of fun. Control Alt owned. What was your biggest regret? It can be personally or professionally, my choice. Well, I'll give you two. So professionally, I wish I had spent more time prepping the channel just in my spare time while I was working at Yammy Noob. You know, just filming on the weekends and pumping out a video once a month or something like that. That would have set me up so much better for success, because there's some things that I should have done back then that I'm still doing now that a channel that was smarter than me would have already done. So getting started on the channel a little earlier and treating it seriously as a side hustle would have been smart. But motorcycling, personally, biggest regret is getting rid of my first 919. I had a glorious red 919, 2007, with the adjustable suspension. It was gorgeous, but it had a problem with the throttle position sensor where it, around 4,000 to 5,000 RPM, it was really unstable, and it would just lurch so bad because the throttle position sensor was bad. I got rid of it because I didn't think I could fix it. And I got reamed when I gave it up. I lost so much money on that bike. But now, knowing what I know, I could have fixed that. It's so easy. It's literally a throttle position sensor off a Civic that I would have put on there. Same thing. I could have fixed it. I didn't know that then, but I know it now. And I really wish I didn't get rid of that bike. The Big Bad Swan asks, if you can only have motorcycles from one manufacturer, who do you choose? So I really like what Honda has to offer, although some of their more modern bikes tend to be a little bit on the boring side. They're coming out of that with the potential V3 motor, which that's wild. Yamaha also has some really great bikes in the back catalog, like the VMAX. But if I have to choose one with modern motorcycles, say from the last 20 years, that just absolutely crush it, it's gotta be Aprilia, because I'm just going through a massive Aprilia kick right now. You've got the V4 Tuono, which is the best V4 out there right now. I don't know why the Ducati V4 just doesn't do it for me like the Aprilia one does. The Aprilia one is so vicious and so amazing. They have the old Tuono, which is so cool. They have the Dorso Duro, which, by the way, if you're in Central Texas and you have a Dorso Duro and you're willing to let me take it for a video, let me know, because I want to ride one so bad. Aprilia has this really wide range of motorcycles that are kind of all sporty, but they're also super well set up to do some cool stuff. Like take the 660 motor and make a modern supermoto out of it. Like go back to a Dorso Duro with that parallel twin. Turn that parallel twin into a sporty cruiser, you know? Do something cool with what they have, and I really think Aprilia is gonna come out strong in the next few years. I feel good about where Aprilia is at. Hooray for coffee! What bike would you recommend for a tall 6'6", goddamn, you are tall, 36-inch inseam older beginner rider who does a lot of highway and doesn't really like cruisers? Got my license 16 years ago and just never got a bike. Damn, 16 years without a motorcycle. I don't know how you did that, dude. But for a tall beginner rider, assuming that your highway speed is somewhere like you don't need to go much faster than 75 miles an hour, DRZ 400 SM. I recommend it all the time to tall beginners because it's sporty, it's comfortable, it's so easy to maintain. They have a massive aftermarket. It's got plenty of power to have fun. It handles really, really well. Fully adjustable suspension, and you can get them for like $5, $4, $3 grand on like Facebook. You need to be a little bit more discerning when it comes to the DRZs, but you can get a great bike for not a lot of money. Do not get the new DRZ because that one is not going to be as awesome as the old one is. People got really butthurt when I said that. They got real twisted about it. But I mean, it's 40 horsepower. What's it doing with traction control and ABS and rider modes. All we needed was a little bit more power and fuel injection, Suzuki. Come on, man. A lot of questions came in about this one. Ride Red, is Bottom Sprocket dead or on hiatus? So the problem with Bottom Sprocket this year became that Josh, me, and Whitney, we just got so busy with our own personal stuff that we couldn't schedule the time to do stuff anymore. I really want to get Josh and Whitney back on the channel because, to be honest, doing this by myself is kind of lonely. I don't love going out and filming all on my own. It's a bummer. So having Whitney come in for some Diavel stuff, and I want to get her back out for filming other goofy shit, it's just so much more fun. Do I know that the Bottom Sprocket podcast will come back? I'm not sure. I'd love it to. I'd really love it to, but I just don't have the time to do a bunch of podcast prep. It actually takes a lot of front end work. It's not just sitting down and talking about it. You have to make yourself knowledgeable. That being said, Whitney and I have talked about doing a GP podcast for the 2025 season, so stay tuned for that. Now, switching over to YouTube, we've got one from Mr. Too Much Sci-Fi. Can you recommend a resource for learning to adjust suspension? Should I just take my bike to a pro instead? First of all, if you have a fully adjustable suspension, look in your owner's manual. They're gonna probably have a table with a bunch of settings, and it's clicks out. Those are all clicks out. So you're gonna bottom it out, and then you'll do 20 clicks out, or 3 clicks out, or whatever. Or that many threads showing if it's preload. Once you do that, if you want to take it further, I highly recommend looking at Dave Moss Tuning here on YouTube. Dave is so good at tuning suspensions. I watched him work while I was with Ride ADV in Vegas. He was showing me how to set up a motorcycle. Well, he wasn't showing me specifically, but he was doing it and I was watching him like a hawk, and he showed me so many tips and tricks. Watch Dave Moss, seriously. And then once you do that, go take it to a suspension guy and see how close you got. Then we got a long one here from Daniel Kolka. Just wanted to say that because of your videos, I bought a Kawasaki Z400 2022. Being 70 years old, a Z400 is perfect. I'm glad to hear that. That actually makes me really happy that somebody got on a motorcycle because they watched my stupid self doing dumb shit on the internet. That makes me feel really good, dude. Thanks for sending that. Vexed67, what's a piece of motorcycle culture you haven't experienced yet but want to be immersed in, e.g. stunt culture, MCs, and racing? The one that I'm most interested in right now is custom motorcycles, like the building scene. I really want to get more into building stuff. Once the VMAX is done, I really want to buy a Sportster, and I want to build a crazy Sportster. Do a chain swap, do 17s, basically build Dylan's Sportster that he was riding on a racetrack. If I can ride a Sportster on a racetrack, that would be so cool. That would be so cool. Although I wouldn't start with the S. I think he had the 1200S that he started with. I would start with either a Roadster or an XR. But anyway, I want to do more in the custom scene. That's where the VMAX project is going right now. I want to submit it into a custom motorcycle show here in Austin in April. So I've got a whole bunch of cool mods that are coming in. I'm still working with Flying Eyes on that. I'm still working with Revzilla, I'm trying to work with Revzilla, just to get some cool stuff going on that bike and then put it in a motorcycle show and see what people think about it. Jonah Campbell, 1337, lead, nice. What was your perception of motorcyclists before you became one yourself? I didn't really perceive motorcycles, honestly. I was one of those drivers who, like, I could hear a big, loud Harley, and I was like, dude, why? Why are you riding that giant motorcycle down the highway that sounds like a jet engine with no helmet on? Like, why? And I still kind of think that to this day, but I just didn't care. I really didn't care. But nowadays, I cannot really remember my life before motorcycles. Go neon, that's what it is. If you have the chance to ride any motorcycle from a movie or TV show, which one would you pick and why? Not from a movie or TV, but from a video game. The smc-r from Cyberpunk 2077, because that is basically the Method 143, the actual real motorcycle. The developers went and they did sound samples and they modeled that bike off of the 143. So that would be my roundabout way of getting to ride an Arch. Just ride in the Cyberpunk 2077 smc-r. But also it would have like all sorts of cool cyberpunk stuff on it. And cyberpunk is, as a genre, one of my favorites. Shelby showed up. Ever gonna come to another Forgotten Angels camp out and do a road trip vid? I do want to come to another Forgotten Angels camp out. I probably won't ride there. I may just put like the VMAX in my van and drive down and then camp out of the van and ride with you guys on my VMAX. But I desperately want to come to another camp out. So don't worry, Shelby, I'm coming. AJ's Ride Sane reviews. Out of all the muscle cruisers, VMAX, V-Rod, Diavel, and others, which one is your favorite and why? VMAX. The old VMAX, not the new one. Yeah, the VMAX, the new one with 200 horsepower, yeah, it's awesome. But the old VMAX, it's just a terrible motorcycle. It's so awful. It handles like shit. It does not stop. It's got 4 carburetors. It's a nightmare to work on. But it's so cool. It's so cool and it sounds so good. And when V-Boost kicks in, oh my God, is it so, oh, it's so good. I probably won't not have that double negative there. I probably will always have a VMAX in the garage, an old VMAX. Just because they're so unique. Or I'll just have the one VMAX that I have out there forever, and I'll just keep putting new motors and new parts on it as it all wears apart. And eventually it will no longer be the same bike. It'll be the VMAX of Spite, the ship of Theseus. And then we're gonna wrap things up with one that I just wanna answer because, and yes, I did change the camera angle. Brewheck, can you give advice to those wanting to learn guitar? It's hard to keep practicing when revving an electric motorcycle sounds better. You, sir, need to change up your gear. So the first thing I'd recommend is like getting a motorcycle, right? You wanna ride one that makes you wanna reach for the keys, right? If you start on a cruiser, but you really wanted a sport bike, you're not gonna ride the cruiser all that much. Same thing with guitars. I have a bunch of guitars on the wall, each one I want to reach for. But specifically, I've got this one. This is my 7-string Epiphone Les Paul. This is the Matt Heafy Origin Signature. And you can actually see, that's his signature right back there. Matt Heafy is the guitarist and one of the guitarists and the vocalist for Trivium. I just want to reach for this thing, and it inspires creativity. It's so much fun. Most of what I'm going to say is going to be tuned towards somebody who's looking to play metal. So if you are, or hard rock or anything that's distorted, I would recommend starting on a 7-string. And the reason why I say 7-string is because you actually have the entire standard tuning on the top 6 strings, and then you just have the heavier 7th string right here. So you can learn everything here. And then when you're ready to go into extended range or down tuning, you have that ready to rock and roll. You have every tuning available to you in a 7-string, especially when you pair it with the second thing I'd recommend, which is a modeler. There are so many free ones online, but I chose the Headrush Core. That's my modeler of choice. If you go with a computer modeler, you can just use your hi-fi speakers. I have a 4x12 cabinet because I like the feeling of air moving around me. And then on my modeler, I've got patches for all kinds of stuff. I've got a Monomarth patches, I've got an Orbit Culture patch, I've got a Kill Switch Engage patch, I've got a Trivium patch, I've got all kinds of different setups for different sounds that I want. Now remember how I said that you have every tuning available on a 7-string if you have a modeler? These modelers come with pitch shifters. So you've got right here E standard, right? But I've got this pitch shifter set for two, or well, it's currently on, so that's E standard. But then I've got the pitch shifter for 2 semitones down, which is 1 full tone, which is drop, or well, that would be D standard. And D standard is where a lot of Gojira stuff lives. Kill switch engage is drop C. So you have so much range in here. Then once you've got the tones that you like, the best thing I can say is to just start playing songs that you like. For me, I learned so much about playing guitar from just teaching myself Amon Amarth songs, right? So you know, playing across multiple strings, or doing solo work from Wrath of the Norsemen. That one, the first solo. As soon as I turn the cameras on, all of my guitar skills fall out of my forehead. But anyway, playing that sort of stuff is gonna accidentally teach you things, right? So if you know the Way of Vikings, right? That one, the first solo, it has this really quick ascending part. And I'm gonna just slow it down. That's the Phrygian scale. I didn't know that. And I just intrinsically knew what the Phrygian scale was by teaching myself that part of the solo. And you know, I just slowed it down for a while and then I slowly built up to speed. I'm still not quite there yet. Yeah, I'm still learning that. Doing that sort of really fast note stuff takes a long time. But the biggest thing I can recommend for making yourself better as a guitarist, same thing like working on riding a motorcycle, is you have to take lessons. You need somebody who's better than you to look at what you're doing and figure out how to fix it, right? So for me, I struggled really hard with picking up my speed with like tremolo picking, right? So I used to be really tight and trying to force myself to go faster, and that actually slowed me down. The guy who's actually a member of the Discord server, he basically was like, yeah, no, you need to loosen your grip up and try using a thicker guitar pick, because I was using these really thin ones, and now I use these thick boys. It made picking quickly so much easier. Once I was able to do that, so much more stuff opened up. So there you go. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Here at the end, I wanted to say thank you for supporting the channel through yet another year. I've got some fun stuff coming up this year. I've got a lot of cool video ideas I'm just cooking up in the background, and I'm really excited for what's coming. And yeah, hopefully you guys stick around and keep enjoying what we do here. So, oh, and don't forget, if you wanted to come ride with me up in Canada, link is down in the description below. And yeah, catch you guys in the next one. See you later.